So let's talk about a world where people don't have social security benefits, where people don't have SNAP benefits for food, and some don't even have access to internet. That is what is about to happen because we are now starting to see discussions from Congress as to what we can actually do. And I want to just be very clear on this. What they are discussing right now does have massive implications for the American people moving forward, but at the same time, this affects other countries right now. So I want to break down what's going on, how this is going to potentially impact you in the future, and what Congress is doing about it right now. So if you're ready to learn about what's going on at this present time, make sure you stick around for this entire video, and I'll explain exactly what's going on. So before we get into the talks regarding Social Security, SNAP benefits, and simply internet access, I want to explain what's happening. And one of the biggest things, one of the bills that's currently on the table is a $14.3 billion bill that would send additional funding to Israel. There's also about $106 billion on the table. This is more humanitarian aid. This is disaster relief. This is $60 billion for Ukraine. All this stuff is on the table. Okay? The reason why it's being held up is because the United States has over $33 billion, actually trillion dollars in debt. That's trillion with a T. That's a massive amount of debt. And many are saying that we cannot continue to support other countries if we do not solve our crisis right now. Now, here's what's going on. In Gaza, most Shifa hospital patients, staff, and displaced people from the city, they have to leave as Israeli strikes continue in both the north and the south. Now, what we've heard is Israel telling people of Gaza, get out, go to the south. But then we are now starting to see strikes in the south. So where do people go? Well, this is turning to a big issue because now we're starting to see more countries are asking for help. Help the people of Gaza. Well, look at this. It says Israeli parliament members demand U.S. and Europe import Gazan refugees. This is something that we knew was coming. We've heard this before, that the United States needs to do more for countries that are hurting, for people that just need to get out, and our refugees. Well, let's go ahead and read this a little bit because it kind of gives us an insight as to where these are coming from, what the thought process is. But it says, in a jointly penned opinion, 2 Israeli members of the Knesset recently urged Western nations to welcome Palestinian refugees from Gaza amid the Israel-Hamas war. Says down here, Europe has a long history of assisting refugees fleeing conflicts. The wars in the former Yugoslavia displaced millions, most of them from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Germany, Austria, and Sweden accepted large numbers. When the Kosovo War erupted, hundreds of thousands of Kosovar Albanians fled to neighboring Albania and the country now called North Macedonia. Down here says, and Israel wants more of that, this time not just for Europe, but for the U.S. as well. Now, I bring this up because if we bring more people into the United States, they would be required to pay taxes. If they are not, and this is where people coming through the southern border are really getting hammered, and this is why many people here in the United States want all those people sent back, is because they're coming into the United States with the expectation they're going to get free food, free health insurance, even potentially a free place to live. That's turning into a massive issue because every single person that comes into the United States, according to a recent report, costs taxpayers about $1,300. Every single taxpayer is paying an additional $1,300 for every one person coming in. That is crazy. That's a massive number. especially for people that at the end of the year, they need all the money that they can get. And if they are actually losing out on some of this money because we're paying for people to come into our country, that's where it turns into an issue. But what does this do for Social Security, for SNAP benefits, for internet? Well, here's what I can tell you. Right now, and this is just internet, Congress needs to act now to fund the Affordable Connectivity Program. This is the one that under former President Donald Trump, he started this where he'd send like $50 a month, so you'd have affordable internet or just internet access alone. This was under former President Donald Trump. It turned into the ACP. This is the Affordable Connectivity Program under current President Biden. But according to reports, this is expected to run out of funding sometime in April of 2024 or potentially before. Now, the reason why this is a problem is because if you don't have this and people use telehealth, let's say they're in a rural area and they use telehealth, they do online schooling, they order stuff off the internet and then maybe go pick it up. They use internet for things like maybe they need to go and file something for Social Security. If you don't have internet and you can't do it, then you have to go into the Social Security office. Well, maybe there isn't one for 100 miles, and you have to go into that one. Well, if you are older and now you gotta commute, maybe that's a difficult thing for you. So this is one thing right here that lawmakers are saying that we have to address this. We have to address the Affordable Connectivity Program, but at this time, lawmakers are still just trying to figure out a way to ensure that the U.S. government stays funded. Yes, it stayed funded because it had to pass last night. It did. President Biden signed this into law the day before, so that was great news. The problem now is we have to figure out a way to extend the funding past January 19th, past February 2nd. We have to extend this. Now, here's where lawmakers are starting to really be concerned because we are now starting to see there's some bipartisan support. And it's not bipartisan support for Social Security yet. We do know Republicans and Democrats both support increasing or ensuring that Social Security remains solvent past 2034. But as far as increasing benefits, this is where they vary. Democrats say we need to increase benefits. Republicans say we cannot increase benefits, but if there's a way we can decrease costs, then we need to look into that. That is something that Democrats have done in the past. They have cut expenses, but it's still very slow. Some of those expenses they have cut regarding medication and hospital visits, some of those still haven't been implemented. They're still slowly rolling those out over the next year to 2 years. So there will be additional benefits there. But here's where I just want to warn you. You need to be careful. Beware of what's coming, because there are a lot of people that are discussing ways to improve Social Security, improve the U.S. economy, improve SNAP benefits. It is going to be very difficult for Congress to pass a bill to increase Social Security at this time. Is it impossible for them to propose a bill? No. Everyone can do that. But it's going to be very difficult to see the House Representative, which is ran by Republicans, and the Senate, which is Democratic controlled. It's going to be very difficult to see those two groups pass a bill or the same bill. So here's where things are starting to turn. According to many people right now, they're discussing what Senator Joe Manchin and Senator Mitt Romney introduced last month, actually earlier on this month. Hey, look at this. It says Manchin and Romney introduced Bipartisan Fiscal Stability Act. This is a bill, and let me read it right here. Okay? It says right here, legislation would create a bicameral fiscal commission to find legislative solutions to stabilize and decrease national debt. The keys right here are solutions to stabilize and decrease national debt. Now, this is what is putting Social Security. This is what is putting SNAP benefits and affordable internet, or just internet in general. It's putting them in question. As far as internet, it's about $50 a month. I believe it's that program. It's helping out, I believe, like 60 million households. So it's a decent amount of people, or it's helped 60 million households. And so that's a big program, but at the same time, about $50 a month for 60 million people, it's a very expensive bill. Okay, it's very expensive. So some are saying that we might need to do away with that. The other one is SNAP benefits. Over the past couple of years, we have seen a lot of increases to SNAP benefits. Now, what no one is saying is we need to decrease benefits, just pull money back. But what they're saying is we need to address who receives these benefits. Are you working to receive these benefits? Are you attempting to go and find a job? If you're not, maybe you don't qualify. And so that's where work requirements are now coming into play. And as far as Social Security, we are not saying that, nope, you can't get Social Security benefits because, well, we just don't want to give it to you. We can't do that. Right? If you paid into the system, you are now eligible for Social Security once you get to retirement age. Well, here's what some are discussing. Let's raise the full retirement age. But by raising the full retirement age, it actually doesn't impact Social Security today. It doesn't do it. It doesn't ensure that Social Security remains solvent over the next 10 years, because there's a good chance when we raise the full retirement age, and I did say when, because that is what most people are anticipating will happen, just not before the presidential election. But when we increase the full retirement age from age 67 likely to age 69, then it's not going to happen in the next 10 years. It'll be probably 15 to 20 years down the road before that is the new full retirement age. With that said, how else can we fix things? Well, we can increase revenue. One of the things that's currently being discussed, and this is something that's been pressed by Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, is we need to federally legalize cannabis. That's what we need to do. That will bring in additional revenue. We can use some of that revenue for Social Security. We can use some of that revenue for other key priorities. That's what they're discussing. So right now, just beware that Congress cannot agree to the next step. They're struggling to figure out what to do now. But all this stuff is gonna be very dependent on what happens with Israel, what happens and how long this fight between Russia and Ukraine goes on. Does the United States jump into a war with another country? If it does, it's going to slow down the chances of anything substantial happening to Social Security. It's going to hurt SNAP benefits. It's going to hurt our economy. And millions of people are going to struggle. So that is what we know as of right now. Right? So if you have any questions on any of this stuff, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But that is what we know at this time. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.